Alright, super cool, awesome. I forgot to turn on my microphone for recording, so I lost the audio of this 20-minute video that I made doing the sewer walkthrough. So now I have to do my best to recreate it in the dub in order to try to do all the work I just did. So, at this point I was saying something about how I was making this guide because a couple people had said that they wanted to see it. What I'm going to start with in the video is a run-through of the sewers as if you had just gotten here. So the first thing is you come down that ladder and you see the grace room. Both those gates would be open as well as that door. And the first thing that you would need to do to actually progress through the level, would be to drop down this grate. You come down this tunnel, and you go into the pipe system. You ignore the other area because it is a dead end leading to Dung Eater. You jump that gap. You jump over this gap. You hang right here through that gate. You ignore those slugs because that's a side hallway, there's nothing over there. I think you can spawn there as an invader. You climb up this ladder. Normally there would be an omen who jumps down to fight you. There will be two omens over here and an item that host will probably want to come loot, so you can bait them into fighting the omens, or otherwise just wait for them to see what they do. Otherwise, you open this door to progress to the next phase of the sewers, and this lever opens this gate, which leads you back to the main hallway. The next phase of progression for the sewers is run through this door. To the right is a functional dead end. There is a piece of loot down there, irrelevant for invasion. Instead, you drop off to the left here. You run down these stairs. This is pretty much all straight shot for the next 50 feet or so. Go through this hallway full of enemies. And what you'll actually want to do to progress is immediately cut back here. So these stairs, you turn around and come through this gate. There's a hallway full of basilisks, which I'm going to ignore for the purposes of this. But again, just keep going straight, hang right, it's the only direction you can go. There'll be an omen down here waiting to fight you. But for progression, you climb up the ladder. And you see this door, which you would open, which takes you back to the main hallway directly across from the grace room. I think at this point I was saying something about how I was going to drop down to lower pipes because I didn't want to progress any further. So I'm going to show you how you open the other gate and how you navigate lower pipe system. So again, the other gate, which is in the direction of the ladder. You drop down this hole. You'll jump over that gap, run across these pipes. There'll be a bunch of imps to fight. More than the ones that I left alive. I killed off most of the mobs for the purposes of making this as easy as possible for myself. You run up these stairs, and there's a lever to open that gate. There is a second way to get up to this other side of this other gate, which I will show here. So starting from the same point of dropping down this ladder, there's a red herring pipe off to the left. You can't drop down there safely, so instead what you need to do is drop down to that pipe right there. That'll lead you to a point of no return, at which point you need to go through and cross the pit filled with sniper lobsters. The only way out of that area is through that doorway. So, drop down, run or fight. If you're invader and the host came down here, it's a great point to be shooting jar cannon at them. Otherwise, you run through the hole. This elevator will normally be down when you first progress through the area. Obviously, it's up because I've already cleared this. Down here is the catacombs associated with this area, but this will be gated off for PvP invasion of the Shunning grounds proper, so don't need to worry about that. Ride this lift up to the sort of pseudo catacombs, just to return back to the main hallway. There's a bunch of spirit mobs here, which you should ignore because there's a hidden wall right there that you need to get behind. Spirit crawlers still, which then kills all of the mobs. There is just a straight path then to another lever, which opens up a hole in the floor, which then takes you back to where we just were. That is to say, the other side of lower pipes. So, 2 ways to skin the cat there. Now, I think at this point, I said, okay, let me go ahead and actually begin the invasion tips, tactics, strategy walkthrough. So, let's see if past me, in fact, was doing that. Yeah, so I was like, okay, so when you spawn in as a red, you're going to spawn in the corner here. Like, you're going to spawn one of these cutouts. What you're going to want to do is check to see which gates are open, to see how far host has progressed. Okay, I think I'm a little bit behind myself here, but... So you'd spawn here, as I said. You want to check to see if the gates are open, especially the one that is not near the ladder. That is the one behind me as I am right now. Blues always spawn over in that corner. They call for hunters. Otherwise, you want to see if that gate is open specifically. Here I'm demonstrating. Oh, I'm doing a quick pan around. If this gate is open, what I like to do is I need to get a gauge for how far host has progressed, because that dictates my actions. So I'll run over here, even if host is ready and waiting to fight me. I'll come over here and see if that door is open. I'll spam Bloodhound Step if I need to in order to avoid taking damage. But if that door is open, I need to skip right ahead to Phase 3. Otherwise, I know I can go through that door and pass through. Well, again, you need to check to see if this door is open. If it's not open, you need to wait for host to cross the threshold of it, at which point you can use your finger, your phantom finger, in order to respawn ahead of them. But I'll explain that later in the video. For the purposes of progressing through the level, though, they have to drop down into this grate. There's no other option, there's no other direction they can go, assuming, again, they've just gotten to the area, just summoned, just started. If they do lower pipes or go down to catacombs, you can keep track of them on your compass. You can see when the yellow icon appears, they're far enough away from you that you should be safe to drop down. If they're smart, they would have left the other finger, or left the cooperator waiting to ambush you. But otherwise, they'll probably be too distracted fighting imps, and you can get a shot off quick here to try and knock them off the pipes. Otherwise, a good point to try to fight them is up here on this wooden platform. You can knock them off of here, you can knock them off of there, or you can get one last parting shot as they're trying to make their way back up to where the shortcut is. But this is largely a dead end. If you're not in a press for time, there's nothing stopping you from ignoring them doing this corner, unless you just want to get a couple shots off. Instead, we're going to go ahead and say, okay, host wants to progress through the level, so again, the only place they can go is down here. Now, for your sake of invasion, you want to go towards the light. The other direction, there's a couple rats and some loot down here, but if you're just trying to go as quickly as possible, drop down, head towards the light. This tunnel, again, is the direction you want to go to progress. What am I doing? Oh yeah, so I'm saying, come up here, you can wait around this corner to see what they're doing. Otherwise, if they're going to see Duneater, or even if they don't know Duneater's up there, they just want to go down that hallway, there's nothing over there except for Duneater. There's no other paths back, there's no other way to return. So, what you can do is wait up here to see if they're coming through, and one thing to abuse is the fact that you can see if they start taking damage, say from poison tick. So if they get infected or hit with poison by the flowers, you'll start seeing them. So you can run out and do what I just did and shoot them on the ladder, maybe, if you can catch them as they're going up, just as a sort of, chip damage, because every little bit counts. Now, when you come here, there'll be a bunch of slugs that you as the invader need to jump over and around. And you want to be careful, because if you drop down this hole as the invader, that's it, you're stuck, it's a dead end. What is normally supposed to happen is host will come through here, and there's a gate at the end of this that leads you back to where you were. Obviously, if you're an invader, you cannot interact with host's world, so you can't open gates, you can't operate levers, etc. Oh, beyond the elevator. So, yeah, you don't want to be trapped down here, otherwise you'll get cornered by them. You might as well just use the Phantom Finger. There'll be a couple slugs. There's only one direction out, which is up. There's this little connecting tunnel here that leads us back to where we just were. This is the hole that I just jumped through. So, Invader definitely wants to avoid that hole. This hole, however, you might want to use. So what I like to do is, as the invader, I sit up here, wait as close to it as possible to try to bait them into, oh, we gotta take this red out, he's so scary. And what I want is to get them to drop with me down to this hole. Because down here, in addition to being dark, which, by the way, you as the invader should learn not to use the lantern. Anyway, there's a Royal Revenant spawn right here, which I'm going to wake up for the purposes of the demonstration, but essentially what I do is I'll lure host and or his party over here, and get them to wake up the Revenant, and most people don't have the wherewithal to remember that the Revenant dies quickly to heal damage. So I don't even like to stay and fight, because it's easier to reposition. Instead, I just let them fight the Revenant, just whatever, out of sight, out of mind. This is the hole, by the way, that we just dropped down, but you'll want to come up this pipe and just keep going straight through the gate again. This is a dead end, so just completely ignore that. I think you can spawn over there as an invader, so you might want to keep a memory of that. So again, for the purposes of invasion, an omen is standing at the top of the ladder here. He's actually coded on proximity awareness, so as host approaches this area, whether or not he's in the bottom or you're coming from this direction, either way, if you get close enough, that omen will drop down. It's just a hard-coded thing. It's a trigger of the script, so I like to just sit up here with a jar cannon, providing ranged support to the omen. You can actually take advantage of the fact that people usually use lanterns if they don't know the sewers, and you can tell that they're coming from the glow of the lantern, which is pretty cool when you just take a blind shot. Otherwise, the omen that's standing right here will often aggro when they're fighting the first omen that drops down to Thunderdome with them. So Otherwise, one other thing you can do is sit up there and bait them into attacking the omens. And I don't know what else I was saying here. Basically, this, until they've opened up that gate, is now dead end for you. Oh yeah, I like to say, so I'll just Bloodhound step past them and go back down this hallway, or down these pipes. What most hosts will say to themselves is, oh, it's, you know, one way, we were just down there, we just explored it, there's no other way he can get around us. So you can actually take advantage of that. I kind of waffled around on here a bit, so I'm going to try to recreate what I was saying, but what you want to do is stand at the end of that pipe and use the phantom finger. What happens is, when host opens this door, as soon as they cross the threshold here, they are now counted as if they've entered that zone of the area. So at any point, once they've crossed that threshold, if you phantom finger, you'll spawn ahead of them. So that was me trying to switch to the finger I don't have. So what you can do is sit at the top of this pipe. Unfortunately, you cannot see host from here, no matter how carefully you angle yourself. All you'll be able to see is the gap in the door. However, you can use the compass. You can tell if you see it start moving left or right after a second or two's delay as they run through. That means that they have actually crossed the threshold and are now either progressing right or going left to actually keep going. So again, right side is a dead end and irrelevant for you as the invader. Instead, you drop off, cut back immediately. So when you phantom finger in, one of the places you can spawn is right at the end of this hallway right here. And this is a great point where you immediately just start sprinting and come down here. Again, remember, you need to cut back from that stairs. The other place you can spawn is down here, and you can recognize it because there's a flower down here and all the bodies and sludge and stuff. Memory serves, you actually spawn over here, but again, host will be distracted. There's an Ash of War scarab they can be chasing. There's all the zombie enemies. You can usually beat them if you keep a head on your shoulders and get to that ladder ASAP. You sprint as fast as you can for this gate, because what you want to do is get into the Basilisk hallway. You want to just haul ass to the ladder, because that's the first priority, is getting ahead of them to a place where you can ambush them. There's an omen down here, and that ladder would normally be up. The host needs to kick it down for the purposes of shortcut. So, again, this is as an invader, you want to get up this ladder as quickly as you can. Immediately hang a left. And by the way, this doubles as sort of the last phase of progression. But jump down here, jump up here, come through this door, and that's the ladder that host kicks down once they've actually gotten this far. Otherwise, I like to sit here with Concealing Veil. I don't know if it's just placebo effect, but I like to sit above this little rug, sack, whatever, just to make it as hard as possible for them to spot me. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're actually taking your shots is you want to shoot them when they're about halfway up the ladder. If you shoot too early, you know, they'll clear it and get out of the way immediately. If you shoot them in the middle, you can usually get another at least one more shot off before they've cleared the area. Otherwise, you can shoot at the top. If you shoot the back of the wall, assuming they're rolling through it, you can knock them back down, but this will only serve as an annoyance to them because this is a non-damaging fall. All it does is take time from them. So funny, yes, but not particularly useful for the purposes of invasion. Another thing you can do for the purposes of if you're trying to be more annoying than dangerous is you can sit up here on this ledge, and if you're lucky, you only get one shot at it, literally. But you can actually shoot them off of that bridge before they get the chance to open the shortcut door. There's a small chance that they'll drop off on that area, in which case it's a fatal fall, otherwise they'll just drop down to the lower pipe section. With that said, though, they would have to do the full run back all the way around back to where we just were. So, nothing else, it serves as a great means of annoying the shit out of whoever you're invading. Otherwise, if you're trying to get a kill, and I say otherwise a lot. Anyway, if you're trying to get a kill, sit up here, you can take a shot at them. Again, using Concealing Veil, they're going to kind of look around that corner and be like, oh, he's not up here, there's nothing over here. There's an imp that attacks them while they're on that center platform, so that distracts them. And you get a couple chances to shoot them off the pipes running up to this point. The only other thing from here, once you've reached this point, is to jump down into this pipe. So for the purposes of invasion, that gate would be closed, so you just keep going straight the direction that you jump in. There will be a fork up here, and you want to hang a left, because for once you actually want, even if you're progressing, you actually want to drop down a hole for once in the entire game. I get backstabbed by that trash mob peasant guy, as I always do. Which I don't know, now looking back at it, I don't know how he backstabbed me, because I was facing it. Anyway, this is a shortcut back to Basilisk hallway, so irrelevant for purposes of invasion. You drop down this ladder, down to a room full with Jarbros. You can make a last stand here. Otherwise, this lift will take you down to the final grace before Mode's Arena, and there's really nothing of value down there. There's no other way out, no other way up, so if you're wanting to do an honorable last stand sort of fight, that would be a great way to do it. So I hope this helped. Either navigate the sewers for progression's sake or for invasion. Hope that it was worth the watch.